Chapter 36. A Starlet Arrives. Interracial Adoption. Children hear, see, feel, touch, and experience life as sponges, absorbing information as truth and creating beliefs about themselves and the world around them. Dear Angelica, on a cloudy March Chicago morn, a poor baby girl is born in the ghetto, and her mama cries, 'cause if there's one thing that she doesn't need, it is another hungry mouth to feed. In the ghetto. Elvis Presley. You gathered the books at the desk, and I smiled as you stacked them neatly so that you could carry them all at once. As you placed them on the table, I squished over in the chair and made room for you. And the book covers read, Rosa, the Story of Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King's simple, direct, poetic words. Once upon a time, birth mom, mommy, and daddy heard God ask us to adopt you. Ring, ring, ring. Hello? I asked.
Daddy, this is Sarah from the adoption agency, and I have a young lady in our office who wants to know if you will adopt her baby.
Really? I asked, very surprised. How could that be?
Well, as you remember, Mommy made the photo album showing your family.
What happened? I asked excitedly.
Birth Mom looked at many albums and asked if you would adopt her baby. Can you meet her tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely, I said. I remembered Mommy going through our pictures and pasting them into a red photo album. I thought of an image of Christian dressed in a tuxedo playing with an African American child, and Sarah asking if we would adopt a child of color. Ring, ring, ring,
Hello, Daddy. What are you doing?
Mommy asked. Sarah just called and said they want to meet us with Birth Mom, who picked your photo album. She wants us to adopt her baby,
That's wonderful.
Mommy said.
We will read books together, and our baby will be an informed and compassionate child who will be very cool.
The following day, Mommy and Daddy walked through the agency's doors, and the receptionist looked at us and said,
Please have a seat.
Sarah appeared and said Birth Mom had traveled far away and chose our photo album out of hundreds of photos. Is she here? I asked.
Yes, let's go meet her.
Sarah said. We followed Sarah, and God whispered to me, Lower your energy to calm level 1, Daddy. Inside the conference room sat a long gray table and 10 chairs, and a young African American woman sat at the top of the table. Birth Mom was medium brown skin, and she was thin like you. Her thick hair was short, black, and styled back on the side of her head just like yours, and her eyes were a marble-shaped dark brown just like yours. Birth Mom was wearing a gray sweatshirt and blue jeans, and her hand sat on top of the red photo album, which held the story of Christian, Mommy, and Daddy. We have Saint Birth Mom, Saint Sarah, and Saint Mommy, so we have 3 angels here, I said, and Birth Mom smiled. Sarah said that Birth Mom wanted to have her baby adopted and thought that Mommy and Daddy would be perfect parents. Birth Mom placed her hands back on our red photo album, and Sarah asked Mommy,
Could you please tell Birth Mom about yourself? I'm from Toronto, Canada, and my parents were born in Italy, and they moved to Canada after World War II. I work at a bank, and Daddy and I met in Mexico. Daddy and I walked on the beach, and he asked if I would marry him. He said we would have the most fabulous children the planet would ever see. And I fell in love with Daddy that day. Your turn, Daddy,
Sarah said, and nodded to me. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and I opposed that. Later in life, I moved to a different neighborhood, and there was an adopted 12-year-old African-American boy who was being bullied, and didn't like that either. Mommy has a heart the size of the universe, is fierce like a lion, and will be a perfect mother. Looking down at the photo album, I asked Birth Mom, which pictures in the book made you think that we'll be good parents for your baby? She opened the book and said to Mommy,
I like all the pictures you made for me.
Birth Mom pointed to a picture where Maria was reading to Christian.
I especially like this one.
She said. and she pointed to another picture that showed Christian standing at the school swing set with a small Mexican boy.
I like this one too.
I understand, I replied. We would be honored to adopt your baby, Birth Mom. Birth Mom's eyes teared up, and she said,
I want my baby to have a nice life with Mommy and Daddy.
God whispered to me, give Birth Mom your cell phone number. And I did. Ring, ring, ring. Hello? I asked.
This is the hospital, and birth mom is having a baby. So come to the hospital because you will be the mommy and daddy.
Oh my God, I yelled. Birth Mom is having the baby now! God whispered to me, lower your energy to calm level 1, Daddy. Mommy and Daddy walked into the room, and Birth Mom was watching Star Trek. Spock was adopted, right? I asked Birth Mom.
Spock is half Vulcan and half Earthling.
Birth Mom said. God, I hope the baby doesn't have Spock's ears. And Birth Mom smiled a little more. The doctor came into the room and said, the baby is here, and asked me to leave the room. And Mommy stayed, and I went to the delivery room where the other daddies slept. I laid down on the couch and said a prayer. Please help me to understand the baby, God. You will, God spoke softly to my heart. I drifted off to sleep, and I asked God, how will I know? How will I know? Because you're getting yourself. And say this to Angelica. I'm for you, and you're for me. And that's how God wants it to be. Next, Mommy kicked the couch.
I can't believe you fell asleep. The baby is here.
Boy or girl? I asked.
Girl.
She said. Spock ears?
No? Why would you ask that question?
Just curious, I said. Birth Mom was holding you. Your hair was short, black, and styled back on the side of your head. Your eyes were a marble-shaped dark brown. You were crying, and your little tongue flickered like a newborn bird. She's hungry, I said to the nurse. The nurse looked at me and said,
How do you know that?
I cry when I'm hungry too, I said. I smiled at Birth Mom and said, I read somewhere that babies born early are hungry, and the babies are old souls who will do great things in life. But the great things will never happen if a person is hungry. Please remember, you must eat, Angelica.
I know, Daddy. You tell me all the time.
Mommy and Birth Mom saw a light shine from you and decided to name you Angelica. You were small and powerful, but needed to stay in the hospital, and a rocking chair was put in the room. Mommy and I visited you at different times of the day. I would drop Christian off at school and then go to the hospital, and Mommy would visit you after leaving the bank. Birth Mom loved you so much, and I was 47 when you were born, and I'll be 65 when you go to college. That's real old, Angelica. So you must be good, okay?
I know, Daddy. You tell me all the time.
Birth Mom was sitting in the rocking chair, crying, and slowly moving front to back. She held you in her arms, feeding you with a tiny bottle. I asked Birth Mom gently, hard day? She looked down at you and said,
I love Angelica so much and want her with me, but I know I can't take care of her the way she needs. Angelica was born 3 days after we met. We are doing what the universe wants, and this is something we can't be afraid of.
I nodded yes, and Birth Mom said,
She's so beautiful. Please watch over her.
I held Birth Mom's hand and said, I promise to protect Angelica. Tears were rolling down your Birth Mom's face, and she gave you to us. We sat in the rocking chair, and your little hand reached out and held my finger. And I said, I'm for you, and you're for me. And that's how God wants it to be. Birth Mom was the most courageous person I have ever met, except for Mommy. And stay calm through all the issues you may encounter in life. Please be kind and take pictures of your life. And take the time to write the story of Angelica Heaney, because our story will pass down to future generations. Please remember that child skills are discovered during family activities, and it's the little moments that make life worth living. Please remember that we broke the chains of generational poverty, and life is a circle and repeats itself, and you will always have another chance to be a better version of yourself. Were you the most beautiful baby ever born in the history of baby girls being born? Yes, you were. Are you an incredible daughter? Yes, you are. The first time you held my finger, you were a premature baby at 4 pounds 9 ounces, and the strength of your hand confirmed that we would make it in a world that most might not understand. It was the squeeze of your hand on my finger which said to me,
Daddy, I'm for you, and you're for me. And that's how God wants it to be.
Love, Daddy.